Hey, world builders, welcome back to Build Together. This is day 228. Today's prompt is, has anyone in your world conquered flight? How and how recently? This one's a longer one I've written in a while. I kind of had a lot in me for this for some reason. I'm not sure why. It just felt like it came out of nowhere, but it all made sense and it tied into a few things. And so let's kind of cut this short. If you want to see the whole thing, obviously go to the Discord. But basically, there have been two recent larger failures of adventures in flying machines out across the ocean. Now, plenty have actually had successful flying machine experimentation flights over land, including the two failed people. And most of them use a Chomkar and Leshnot combination of working fields to usually compress and heat air underneath the wings or underneath like a large balloon or sack of some kind that's supposed to provide you lift. Now, the first larger failure was like 15-ish years ago in the current modern era, and it was by Laili, who was this Nemolian woman who created these like thing she called the Ionine glider, and it was a pretty small gliding suit that had a couple of circles underneath the wings that were powered by a circle that like was stationary on the ground, and she could, kind of like control the basics of the wings and the basics of the flight, but they were kind of constantly providing lift of some kind, and so it was up to her to control a lot of that. And at one point, she had flown a few dozen successful flights on land, and then she decided to go out. And she actually went far enough out over the ocean that they could not see her anymore, and she would not have been able to see the mainland. And then a little bit after that, a little bit longer after that point, the circle stopped transmitting, stopped consuming Meta anymore, and it was deemed that she had fallen into the ocean or something had happened to her. The second was done by Master Tainarch Oibachta just 11 years later, and he created the Rugadian lift sack, and a lot of people sort of called it Tainarch's Big Kasaki as a bit of a crude or crass joke that he didn't take too kindly to, but couldn't do much about because it did look, it's basically a hot air balloon, so it did look a little bit like a Kasaki, like tied down to a basket. Now, his was much more obvious. He took his balloon out over the ocean after literally well over 100 tests on land, where he had made many, many minor adjustments. He's a Rugadian after all. And unfortunately, one of the ropes on this mission had come loose, and he fell into the ocean, and people who were observing watched him get pulled under by reachers, and he was never seen again. So now there's this weird stigma around flight, specifically as it is used over the ocean to find new continents. And if you were going to try and do this yourself, you'd have to self-fund it. And for the time being, flight tests continue over land, but their use and the logistics of using them to transport things and stuff is yet to be figured out in Atovia. And so it has been conquered, but not in a useful way yet. Has anyone in your world conquered flight? How and how recently? Thanks for building together.